Thank you, Jeff. So the clutch of poems I have today have to do about cancer, actually, which is something I feel like has just been up for a lot of folks in my life recently. So, but thinking about it on a lot of different levels. So this first one has to do with economic cancer, and it's called the Tao of Debt Capital. Moving from renting to owning, this is equity. Moving from owning to renting, this is loss and mitigation. Automated systems offer no explanation for why mort is the note sounded on a hunting horn when a deer is killed. Homeowner support specialists cannot recall gauge as a pledge of combat performance. You are sick with your mortgage. The bank is not sick with your mortgage. Your sickness is up for auction. This is the Tao of debt capital. This poem is on economic cancer that metastasizes into the environment. I'm thinking a lot about the struggle in Japan right now over whether or not to have more of the nuclear plants fired up again after the disaster of Fukushima. It's called Company Statement. Mr. Masataka Shimizu bows against a white backdrop. He clasps his hands for TEPCO, but does not say that Mizuzawa is unevacuated. The open button on his suit offers no clues for Kasanuma interred before the cherry blossoms, or Miyako now flooded with ghosts. While Kamiyashi is prone from the weight of water, he admits that populations are aging, and decreasing birth rates will change societies, but not in Sendai, suffering radiation monitors over plutonium mouthfuls of rice. Tokyo will remain unevacuated, though strict policies for business improvement will improve technologies in Nyoka, where rot follows ruin. The TEPCO group will pursue a new vision, befitting the coming times of hot clouds glowering behind damaged walls, to create an affluent and comfortable future against company screens bleached by the heat of fuel rods. These poems exist upon the realization that environmental cancer has grown into your body. Subcutaneous condition. He bends down to look under my dress to see what he thinks is young pussy, that brown fat. He does not know there is a tumor growing here, a mutation between us that leads to rapid, orderly proliferation of injuries. What my name is, number, how much it costs to suck this soft tissue tumor, if I date brothers, white guys, Mexicanos, cutaneous conditions, if I can spread it, greater than a size of 6 centimeters so he can taste it, do a threesome, if I got babies, if I want them, how I should be grateful for his attention, most commonly found in adult women, but also in children. The persistence of his lobulated desire. Below the surface of my skin, his craving, fatted, pressing my left ovary down into the crotch of city blocks that talk in tumors, safe routes I want, worsened into blood vessels that feed the heavy danger in my hip. Growing in crosswalks and curves, the fight or flight response to his slippery palms around the lump, the fat, announcing my womanhood, that fat, derided, split off from itself into lipoma. This is Last Supper for Teratoma. 24 hours before the first incision, I take the last meal. In my kitchen, I imagine the cysts bubbling from my ovary. boiling down tooth and bone for clear broth to slide the meat in. Masses metastasized into fatty portions of skin and sebum, an accumulation of anxiety swelling like cooked peppers from the heat. I dip the spoon in and taste the tumor in the cooking. This next poem is a folktale about outwitting cancer of sorts. And I'm a mixed blood, so for Southeast tribes, our trickster is not the coyote, which we kind of like think about out here, but the rabbit. And fox is someone that rabbit has to deal with sometimes. And I also think about Fox in terms of Fox Network, Fox News, we can go on. So raise your hand if anyone's had a funky experience with the TSA at the airport. Yes, okay, all right. So you might be able to report a little bit of what's in here, and I'll leave you with this tonight. Thank you for your time and attention. So this is Rabbit and Fox Country. Well, it came to be that one of Rabbit's kin had finally arrived where all rabbits are finally running and had went on under that final blanket of sleep apart from Fox's satisfaction. When Rabbit got word of this, she knew she'd have to hurry out the countryside to see for herself the peaceful face of her kin, who managed his whole life to outwit Fox, and this time through the final act of sleep. Could you imagine? It was a trick unlike any other, perhaps the finest a rabbit could think of. Well, Rabbit knew the quickest way out the country would be to fly, but to fly she had to pass through Fox territory. And Fox territory is an electric forest on a steep hill where tails of tall pundits grow up out of the ground to form the balding tree line, and drones dip and dive like bats after bugs with their red lights buzzing through the evening. In Fox territory, lightning blinks and flashes behind clouds filled with panic that soak the dry earth below. And that's right where Rabbit got stuck, her tires spinning out beneath her. And that's when Fox came out, each of his yellow teeth grinning its own grin, sharp enough to cut the darkness clear down the middle of her plan to get out the country. Well, Fox made Rabbit get out the car, though she knew it would be trouble, and put her trembling paws up high as her ears for a long walk to security. Now, Rabbit's kin had always been proud people and had told stories about Fox's peculiar ways. The tools he used to prepare the mind for consumption through elaborate insults to the body. So when Rabbit had to go through his X-ray machine, her blood became so sour her liver had to tremble. And when Fox patted her down from the tips of her ears to the fluff on her tail, her stomach sweat until her muscles began to twitch. And when Fox swiped her paws to test for traces of explosives, her skin bubbled until her eyes began to itch. Then, something like Rabbit's breath came down and slipped 2 paws inside the limit of her body. That old spirit hovered above her chest, free from the weight of the circumstance, and she did not tell Fox that this had happened. Instead, Rabbit gathered all that sour trembling, twitching and sweating, itching and bubbling down into her throat for later, so her face could clear and her dark eyes have reflected in them the red face of the guard of terrorism. Rabbit told Fox that if he was going to eat her, he better find something to show for it. A trophy to show throughout Fox territory that he had in fact caught the trickster herself. Now, Fox wasn't too keen on trusting Rabbit. Tricksters really aren't the trusting type. But this seemed like a sensible idea. After all, he could boil her ears to make broth for her paws and peel off his pelt for his own devices. Rabbit could see all this boiling and peeling ahead of her and decided Fox could use a suggestion about more sensible trophy items. something he needed both hands to get. She told Fox that if he clipped her ears to make broth for her paws, it would look like any old rabbit stew. Nothing like the trickster herself. She told Fox that in all her bags here, he could find something better, something grand. But that she was awful tired and didn't know how much longer she could wait on him to cook her. And would you know that Rabbit's eyes started to dip and lower, and she laid right down there on the floor, and though her eyes were closed, she kept reflected in them the red face of the god of terrorism. Well, Fox sniffed the seams of her purse, licked the edges of her laptop, and lifted the luggage, rattling her water bottle. Fox saw Rabbit sleeping and remembered he'd forgotten her car, and that better he could use a new one. When he snuck out from security, so did an old spirit behind him. Well, Fox got the trophies he wanted, but not the rabbit to go along. Fox came back to security with Rabbit's car outside and her keys in his smug little paws, but Rabbit could not be found. He started to holler, and he started to whine, and he started to gnash his terrible teeth through the circuits of all his surveillance, the security cameras, the monitors he'd used to spy on the dense network of Fox territory. All the while, the trickster herself trembled with laughter, working her way, as rabbits do, through the edge of his bramble, all the way to see her kill.